Issues with the federal student aid applications have several high schoolers concerned, leaving them wondering when they will have answers on their financial situation. News 4's Will Polston spoke with the college's financial aid director to find out more on the matter. So, Will, what can you tell us?
Yeah, good evening, Kinsley. An updated form of the FAFSA was released this year for the 2024-2025 school year. It was meant to be easier to fill out, but it seems to have caused more of a headache than much of help. Even with all these issues, many campus officials are confident that they will be getting answers soon enough.
The free application for federal student aid, more commonly known as the FAFSA, helps determine funding that students will get for college. This year, an updated form was released to make things smoother, but has faced hurdles since the beginning.
Typically, October 1 of the previous year is when the FAFSA becomes available for students to access. Well, that was pushed off well into January of the current year.
The timeline has put some families 3 months behind.
Since then, federal student aid has ran into some glitches and some technical issues with the completing the FAFSAs and getting those reports together.
There have been reports of institutions receiving incorrect financial data from the FAFSA forms, resulting in millions of incoming college students left wondering if they'll even get assistance.
Over the past week or so, leading into the beginning of May, those corrections are supposed to be getting corrected with federal student aid and through the IRS.
Even with all the bad possibilities, Jovina says that he's heard solutions may be coming soon.
There's about approximately up to 30% the Fed said could have had issues processing on their side. And there were another undetermined amount that could have had issues that would pull data from the IRS.
Now, Jovina says that if you are a parent or a student and you have concerns about your financial aid, to reach out to your college's financial aid offices. Kinsley?
Well, Polston, thank you. It is important to remember the FAFSA form does not offer aid, but instead shows if you are eligible for aid from your school or qualify for other scholarships.